CyberTech, a fanfiction by Outlaw Realms. Chapter 1. Seraph. In one of the largest buildings London had ever seen. Well, it was the largest building in London, and one of the tallest buildings on the planet. Harry Avalon was half a mile underground, under the building. He was 23 years old. He was sat on a high-backed leather-padded chair at his desk while he was slumped back, deep in thought. Around him were holographic screens and panels, showing designs of gadgets, engines, and cars, and other amazing things, and screen windows lined the walls, and whether they were actual windows, huge monitors, or even more advanced holograms, only a few people would be able to tell from a distance. Looking through the screen windows, however, that was where your mouth would drop open in the universal what the hell position. This office alone would wow most people, even if they couldn't tell what anything was supposed to be, and this wasn't even half of the amazing stuff hidden away. However, in front of Harry was a huge cinematic screen hovering, and blocking his view to the screen windows ahead of him, and causing him to frown in worry, annoyance and confusion as he watched the Cybernet satellite video feed showing a large village, or small town, in northern England. Harry leaned forward and leant his elbows on his desk. However, what was so confusing about the recording were the odd men wearing long black robes with white masks and their hoods up covering their hair. Though, from Harry's point of view they were all jeering and laughing as they used some kind of, well, he was not sure what, but they looked like little sticks that fired different colored lights, which did something horrid to the people they were attacking. Though, that not being enough, there were some giant-sized, at least 20 to 30 foot tall, things stomping on people as they ran and cried. Seraph. Harry suddenly said as the satellite image froze. In a swish and light storm of wind, she appeared out of nowhere in front of him. She was quite beautiful with long emerald green hair with darker, near black roots down to her butt, curved and wild. She was wearing green leather half boots with black soles and wearing a green top with white patterns and swirling symbols, and sleeves ending at her pulse and over the back of her hands in a point, and a cutout showing her bare shoulders. Her green leather trousers were tight to her legs with a black belt around her waist with a skirt open at the front that hung back down to her heels. It was green from the top, dark, going down it got lighter until it ended white. The belt had a silver buckle front and center with a C&T logo in smoky black mimicking cogs. Seraph's eyes were silver, and she had pale skin and dark shadows around her eyes and green lips and fingernails. She was only 5'5", slender, small-chested, and cute. She looked to be around 20 at the youngest, and she looked semi-amused as Harry rolled his eyes at her. "Seriously, Sarah?" Harry said while rolling his eyes again. "Are you ever going to change out of that cosplay get-up?" Seraph smirked as she gave him a spin. "Come on, darling," she said happily. "You named me after a mythical wind spirit," she said as she happily hopped up into the air and floated as some wind seemed to curl around her. "Anyway, wasn't Selphie the wind spirit?" She shrugged. "I don't know." "Well, yes, it's confusing," she replied while shrugging. "The books and the archives do conflict on many." "Seraph." Harry quickly interrupted as he gestured towards the large screen. "Sorry, darling," she replied with a grin with her upbeat English accent, but she didn't look towards the screen and Harry didn't expect her to. Harry rolled his eyes again, which was probably an unhealthy habit to get into. "So, what's your opinion on what they are?" He pointed towards the screen again anyway. "One can never have too many opinions, and the orbital research teams have already given their opinions on the matter, and you're a supercomputer. Me being a supercomputer, is you doing yourself and me a disservice. I am way beyond that point. Sarah. Okay. Okay. Seraph did not even give the screen a glance as she finally replied. If I say what I think they are, you'll think I'm malfunctioning, she said impishly. As for what my system analysis says, well, she shrugged. I don't know what they are. Harry sighed and resisted rolling his eyes again. Just tell me what you think they are. Make a guess. She shrugged. I don't know what I should call them, but the large things are either mythical giants or mecha with holographic skin to look like giants. As for the humans, they are either using some weird new tech, they are mutants, aliens, or they are magic, witches and warlocks, or maybe wizards. There are so many names for magical humans through the mythological archives. I'm not sure what they would be called if they truly existed. Harry sighed while shaking his head. What about the police reports? Apparently, witnesses and survivors say a hurricane destroyed the town and killed the people, she replied with a little disgust at that. Harry growled a little, angry as he fast-forwarded with a small holographic panel hovering above his right armrest. The men with masks and black robes had left, and more came and did something with those who saw what happened. Though these ones were different in that they wore different types of clothes, and did not hide their faces, but Harry doubted they could be trusted. If this truly is magic, then they used it to modify those people's memories. Harry growled furiously. But why would they do that and not just kill them too? Asked Seraph eagerly, since her creator was not calling her crazy. Plus, he would have to call the CyberTech guys nuts too, though she would secretly admit that a lot of scientists working with CyberTech were a little off-kilter. Because the killers are obviously terrorists, he replied. These ones, he gestured the screen. They could be covering it up from us to keep themselves hidden and secret, safe from us retaliating against them all. So, you're planning on releasing this to the public, right? So, they can defend themselves? Seraph asked hopefully before he did something stupid as she moved closer, floating sideways. The wind effect had disappeared, as she leant on the arms of Harry's chair, staring into his deep green eyes in worry. Is it possible to detect them? He asked, ignoring her question as he poked her on the forehead and pushed her back, where she finally let herself land back onto her feet. Yes, she agreed skeptically. I'm getting faint readings all over the planet. One is not too far from here, but with some system tweaking we should get much better readings. Harry nodded his head slowly as he thought things through. It still doesn't make sense. Magic would defy logic. Wouldn't it? He said, talking to himself more than Seraph. I don't know, she shrugged. But doesn't cybertronic technology? She asked amusedly. Harry just glared at her while rolling his eyes, as he couldn't quite help himself. You're supposed to be smarter than that, Seraph. Cybertronic tech does not defy logic. In fact, now I think about it, magic might not either. I guess this shall be a new project. If we could. He trailed off and looked back up at Seraph. Seraph pouted, though looked smug. So, what do you plan to? She trailed off. Harry, there's a large source of activity. She gestured the screen as it switched from the recordings to live satellite feeds of those same assholes attacking innocent people, though this time without giants. Harry growled as he ran his hands through his mess of raven black hair as he quickly stood while gritting his teeth. He was about 6'1" and wore a black satin suit that he brushed down as it crumpled while he was slouching about at his desk. He started by removing his jacket and dropping it to his chair. Then Harry worked on the buttons to his waistcoat. Harry. Seraph complained with a roll of her eyes. I don't think we have time to have sex, even if I used a holographic submind to deal with the fun part while I try to. Sarah. Harry groaned as he started moving toward the elevator as his waistcoat, shirt and tie landed on the floor. Seriously. It was one time, and you wouldn't shut up until I let you experience losing your innocence, as you put it. It wouldn't have been as amazing with anyone else, Seraph complained while pouting rather adorably. You gave me the ability to experience these things, and to have desires, so you needed to take responsibility, and continue the experiment. Anyway, Harry continued while holding in an exasperated sigh, and his next eye roll. That isn't why I'm undressing, he said with a small chuckle as the lift opened and he slid in with the door closing after him, and then the lift moved, drawing down, and back, as the building was big enough that it needed elevators that traveled horizontal and vertical. I'm going to engage the night program, he said as he kicked off his shoes, socks and trousers. It hasn't even been tested yet, Seraph complained as she blinked into existence in the lift. Well, it's going to be tested now, Harry replied as the lift doors opened and he stepped out as he shimmied off his boxer shorts with Seraph following him, and wishing he did just want to have some fun with her. They walked out into a huge garage-like chamber with all sorts of large gadgets and vehicles such as a beautiful silver motorcycle, even a huge battle helicopter in military green. However, ignoring them, Harry moved to a closet in a side chamber, and pulled out a rubbery leather body-tight bodysuit with circular holes throughout, and squeezed into it. The black suit covered him from ankles to neck, and sealed tight to his form once he pressed a switch on the left sleeve. Are you sure you want to do this? Asked Seraph worriedly. Harry just looked at her and smirked. I never had a hero to save me, but I can be the hero that saves these people. Seraph just nodded sadly in understanding, as Harry approached metallic armor as the wall folded it out. The armor was a dark smoked matte silver and red. It was formed and curved and looked like it should be in a futuristic space sci-fi TV show, film or video game. It had a gauntlet floating in a null field of transparent energy in front of the armor. Harry smirked as he clasped the gauntlet along his left forearm. With a gasp of pain, Harry grimaced, and sighed as he looked over the rest of the armor, and internally groaned and hoped all the systems were up to the task ahead, because just getting dressed was going to sting something messed up. To be continued. Thank you very much for listening. I thought I would try something new to me. That was when I got the amazing idea to turn my fanfiction into audiobooks, and then I tried that, and realized I wasn't very good at it, so this is what I came up with. Anyway.